We are diving deeper into integers in this lesson, and we are going to look at some simple techniques to add and subtract negative and positive numbers mentally. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to perform these calculations without the use of a number line by applying some quick tricks to help you get to the answer. Let's recap what we know by taking a look at the following number line. In the past, we would calculate negative 2 plus 5 by first finding negative 2 on our number line. Since we are adding 5, we are moving 5 spaces to the right, which takes us to positive 3. If we had 5 minus 2, we would start at positive 5, and since we are subtracting, we would move 2 spaces to the left. This also takes us to an answer of positive 3. Next, we have 4 minus 6. Starting at 4, we move 6 spaces to the left, which takes us to negative 2. And then negative 6 plus 4 sees us start at negative 6 and move 4 spaces to the right, which also ends up at negative 2. Are you starting to notice anything about these numbers and their answers? Pause the video and take a really close look. Jot down what you think you see. We will see if you've spotted the trick by the end. 2 plus 2 equals 4, and negative 2 minus 2 takes us to negative 4. Notice anything here? How are these two questions different from the first 4 questions? Well, let's find out what's going on here. My first question has negative 2 and a positive 5. And all I've done in my second question is swap their order around. Now I have positive 5 appearing first, followed by negative 2. And this is why they both give me an answer of 3. Just note something quickly. Numbers are all either positive or negative. If they don't have a sign in front of them, they have an invisible positive sign. It's always there, which is why I added the plus in front of the 5. We just don't normally write numbers this way, which is why we leave it off. Moving on, in my next question, I have a 4, which we now know is positive because there's no sign in front of it, followed by a negative 6. Then in the next question, I have negative 6 followed by positive 4. Again, you can see that I've just swapped around their order, which is why they both gave me negative 2 as an answer. But now the next 2 questions are slightly different. First, we have 2 positive 2's, which gives me positive 4 as an answer. But the last question has 2 negative 2's, which gives me negative 4 as an answer. So they're almost the same, except that their answers are additive inverses. So what can we learn from this to calculate these answers quickly and without a number line? Well, the first 2 answers are positive 3. And if you look closely at the numbers 2 and 5 and 3, you might notice that the difference between 2 and 5 is 3. The same can be said when you look at the connection between 4, 6, and 2. The difference between 4 and 6 is 2. What I mean by this is that if you were to look at 2 and 5 on a number line, there are 3 jumps between them, whether you're comparing a negative 2 and a negative 5 or a positive 2 and a positive 5. There's still 3 jumps between just a 2 and a 5. And then between a 4 and a 6, there are 2 jumps. But in the next 2 questions, we see the numbers 2, 2, and 4, which seems to follow a separate pattern to the first 4 questions. The secret is in the signs found in each question. Pause the video and pay attention to the signs in each question. What clue do you see in the first 4 questions which set them apart from the last 2 questions? Let's see if you got this right. In the first 4 questions, we can see that each question has a combination of positive and negative signs, whereas in the last 2 questions, the signs are either only positive or only negative. So let's try find a rule here. We have learnt 2 things. First, we've learned that for the first 4 questions, we found the difference between each set of numbers. And secondly, we learned that each question has different signs that they're dealing with. But then for the last 2 questions, we've learned that we found the sum of each set of numbers and that their signs were the same in each question. So to summarize, we can say that in the first 4 questions, the signs for each question were different, and to get the answers, we found the difference between each set of numbers. Whereas in the last 2 questions, each question had the same sign, and to find their answers, we found the sum of each set of numbers. And here's the rule to mentally calculating integers without the use of a number line. If the signs in a question are different, you find the difference. We can remember this as DD for short. And if the signs are the same, find the sum, which we can remember as SS for short. Okay, let's try some examples to test out this rule that we found. First, I'm going to use a pencil to fill in a positive sign to any numbers without a symbol. Then, using 2 different colored highlighters, I'm going to identify all my negative numbers and all my positive numbers. In my first question, my signs are different, so I find the difference. I find the difference between 5 and 4. 5 minus 4 gives me 1, so my answer is 1. Check this answer on a number line. Start at -5 and add 4 by jumping 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces to the right. Where does it take me? It takes me to -1, not +1, so my answer is actually -1. So how do we know if our answers are going to be negative or positive? Well, we could think of it this way. -5 is further away from 0 than +4 is, so therefore our answer is negative. Okay, let's test this with number 2. Again, my signs are different, so I find the difference. I find the difference between 7 and 3. 7 minus 3 equals 4. So my answer is 4. But -7 is further from 0 than what +3 is. So my answer is negative as well. Let's see if I've got this right by checking a number line. Start at 3 and move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spaces to the left. Where do we land? When we fill in the numbers, we end up at -4. So this answer is correct. Okay, question 3 has the same signs, so we find the sum. So we find the sum of 6 and 4. 6 and 4 gives us 10. Here, both signs in our question were negative, so my answer has to be negative. And when we check this on a number line, we can see that moving 6 spaces to the left of 4 gets us to -10. So we know that this is true. Alright, now that we know that our rule is working and how to identify whether our answers are going to be positive or negative, I think we can do this without needing to check a number line. So let's see. For question 4, my signs are different, so I find the difference. I find the difference between 10 and 2. 10 minus 2 gives me 8. 10 is further from 0 than 2. 10 is positive, so my answer is +8. Number 5. My signs are different, so I find the difference. So I find the difference between 9 and 1. 9 minus 1 gives me 8. 9 is further from 0 than 1. Since my 9 is positive, my answer is +8. For question 6, my signs are the same, so I find the sum. So I find the sum of 12 and 4. 12 and 4 give me 16, and since my numbers were all positive, my answer is +16. Do you think you've got the hang of it? Pause the video and try the next few on your own. You should have started by penciling in the positive signs for any numbers that are missing signs, then use your 2 different highlighters to identify all your positive and negative numbers. Now that we are organized, we can solve the following questions. Question 7. My signs are different, so I find the difference. I find the difference between 8 and 1. 8 minus 1 gives me 7. 8 is further from 0 and it's positive, so my answer is +7. Next, my signs are the same, so I find the sum. I find the sum of 9 and 2. 9 and 2 give me 11. They're both negative, so my answer is negative 11. Question 9. My signs are different, so I find the difference. I find the difference of 10 and 3. 10 minus 3 gives me 7. 10 is further from the 0 than the 3. The 10 is negative, so my answer is negative 7. Next, my signs are different, so I find the difference. I find the difference of 9 and 4. 9 minus 4 gives me 5. 9 is further from 0 than 4. The 9 is negative, so my answer is negative 5. Question 11. My signs are different, so I find the difference. I find the difference of 8 and 5. 8 minus 5 gives me 3. 8 is further from 0 and it's negative, so my answer is negative 3. And for the last question, my signs are the same, so I find the sum. I find the sum of 7 and 6. 7 and 6 give me 13, and they're both positive, so my answer is positive 13. If you continue to keep speaking this to yourself over and over and over again, you're less likely to make a mistake. So let's recap by taking down the following notes. If the signs in a question are the same, find the sum of the numbers. Keep the signs the same as the question signs. So if you're working with two negatives, your answer is going to be negative. If you're working with two positives, your answer is going to be positive. If the signs in a question are different, find the difference between the numbers. Your answer takes the sign of the number further from 0. And there you have it. You can now add and subtract integers without using a number line.